On divorce court today. A missing pearl necklace was just one of the embarrassments Kerry-Anne claims Daniel caused her. He worked at her boutique until his porn surfing behind the counter drove their customers away. He says he gets no respect. Kerry-Anne Roberti and Daniel Roberti have brought their dispute for Judge Lynn Toller to resolve. Testimony in divorce court starts now.
Mrs. Roberti, I understand that you were, what, 33?
Yes.
And you saw this fine 21-year-old at a bar and married him 60 days later. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Okay. Explain to me what you saw, why you liked it, and how you reeled him in so quickly.
I was 33. Daniel was actually 20 years old. He lied and told me he was 21. He wasn't even 21 yet. But I had just recently relocated from New York to open a business in Florida, a small boutique. The economy was bad, so I took all my money, almost $30,000 to open my boutique. I was going out to my favorite restaurant. It was Lobster Night. They had a special. And so I visited there often. It's a town that I grew up in Hollywood, Florida. And so, I walked in there really just going to get my special, and I sat at the bar, and Daniel walked up to me. He invited me to sit at his table. The restaurant was crowded, so I was like, maybe I'll go over there. So I did. It turns out that we had a lot in common in terms of we went to the same high school.
Different decades.
Yeah, apparently, I did not even suspect his age until we started talking about it. He was drinking a beer. So I was like, okay, maybe he's a little younger, but I feel, 28, even now.
Hang on, Ms. Roberti. Mr. Roberti, is that an accurate recitation of how the two of you met?
Yes, that's a pretty accurate statement.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say we were at a nice little restaurant. I was sitting down, I approached her, I saw a beautiful lady at the bar alone.
So what was your initial move? What did you say? What was your line?
I made my move up to her. I said, would you like to join me and my friend at our table? She said yes. So she came right over. We had a great time. We talked, we ate. It was great.
When'd you find out how old he was?
Well, we started discussing high school, and he told me the year he graduated first, 2008. So I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
I was like, well, I went to the same school, but, I was in class of 95.
Yeah.
It was a huge difference.
What happened in those 60 days that said husband to you?
Well, you know what? Honestly, we started hanging out a lot. We even went that night to this really fun bar, we were dancing and everything. And then I really needed to go back to New York because I needed to purchase some items from my shop. And I had a cat, and I love my cat, and no one wanted to watch her, not even my dad, and I was afraid that she was gonna run away. I asked Daniel if he would watch Missy. He said yes, against his mom's will because, she didn't want the cat there. But he said he would. It was for a week. I needed to go back there. And he watched the cat, he called me, he gave me updates, and I was thinking to myself, you know what, this guy is really super duper nice in terms of, I
asked you, what in 60 days said husband to you, and you spent the next 5 minutes talking about a cat?
Yes, because it was his kindness. It was his compassion towards just my situation.
If I'd have known you for a little while and you want to go out of town and say, would you hang on my cat for me? I would. It doesn't mean I'm marriage material.
It doesn't, but he was nice. He was helping. Maybe at the time my situation was a little bit, I had a lot on my plate. With the business, he just came in hand. And not to say it like that.
No, he came in handy is what he came in. Mr. Roberti, what said marriage material to you within 60 days?
She did.
She told you?
She was the one who suggested the marriage.
Really?
She actually asked me, out of the blue, you want to get married?
And you said yes.
Being the young, kid that I was, I said, sure.
Did you say, hang on a minute, call one of your boys, call your mama, call your dad, something, say, hey, this woman I met 60 days ago wants to marry me. What should I do?
I sort of took it onto my own will. I just made the decision myself. A couple weeks later, I told my mother about it. Of course, she was against it.
Lost her mind.
Yeah, she lost her mind. My father, he was somewhat more for it. He said, look, if he wants to go ahead and do it, let him do it. It's his decision.
Do you really feel that you knew her well enough in 60 days, one of which she was out of town and you were taking care of her cat? Do you really think you had time to know who she was as a person?
I can't really say I got to know her very well. But being young and stupid and having a beautiful woman, you know, come on to you, take you around, it was new to me. I haven't received that yet, that type of love, that type of, you know, care from somebody before. It was nice.
May I respond, please?
Please, go right ahead.
Okay, so I am religious, and I felt like he was pressuring me too much for sex and wanting a baby, a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, no. First of all, I kind of feel like I would prefer to get married if I'm gonna, you know, become pregnant or anything like that. And just, you know, don't even bother me for sex. Stop asking me, because religiously I would rather just wait. And that was, we both decided from a religious sense that's something that we wanted to do. And that was one of the reasons.
Nowhere in the Bible does it says, oh, just be silly. It just doesn't say that. You know, I want to have sex and he wants to have sex, so I don't really know him. I don't know much about him. We haven't sat down. We haven't talked about plans or futures or needs. I really don't understand who he is. I really don't know who his people are. I really don't understand where he's headed, but heck, I want to get laid.
It does say it's better. I did not want to, well, I understand where you're coming from, but it does say it's better to marry than to lust. And that was what I was, that's where I felt I was. I know that.
It's better to think than it is to lust. It's better to think than it is to marry the wrong person.
But I've dated so many wrong people. I've dated men who I've dated much longer, who have not even been able to make such a solid decision, who have been indecisive. And this was a person who was young, and I felt like he wasn't damaged in a way.
No. You saw him young, and
well, he wasn't bringing anything to the table in terms of financially, but
no,
he was
you thought,
bringing
I got
himself.
this young thing over here. He, you know, nice looking. Let me just bring him home and make him into what I want.
Well, I guess I wasn't really thinking that, but I thought maybe he could grow because he's not had so much bad experiences. Maybe he can.
Maybe I can mold him into what I want. I already said that.
Maybe I did. I don't recall ever thinking what I thought. I thought maybe he would, on his own terms, want something. I wasn't thinking how I could mold him, because I just don't know how to do that. I could just be myself. You know, I had already been through so much.
You're trying to get something fresh and malleable.
Yes.
That's it.
Next, what did the mirror behind the sales counter reveal about Daniel's online activities? If the ink on your marriage license is barely dry, but you're ready to call it quits, call toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or visit our website at divorcecourt.com. Become a fan at facebook.com/divorcecourt. Real relationships in crisis. Divorce Court continues.
Ms. Roberti, you say that Mr. Roberti helped you out with your boutique.
He did. You know, when I went there, I did have enough money to not work. That was the whole point of going. When we met, he was looking for work during the time that we were dating the 60 days. And, you know, when we decided we would go ahead and get married, it was clear we weren't going to live with my father or his mother. So, you know, we had to find somewhere to live. So I already knew Daniel needed to find work. He did eventually find work.
You know, I plan on retiring around 65, 67. I don't still want to be hearing this story when I do. Can we move it along?
Sorry. Well, the bottom line is he was in the store helping out. He did a good job, but I wasn't expecting him to come and take over the store and just be there. While he was there, he was not really representing the store in the image that I wanted, because I did have my store at least 6 months before I met him. And he was drinking in the store. He was on we had a big mirror, right? Like, let's say this is the computer. There was a mirror behind it, surfing porn and only God knows what else. While I, you know, was kind of running around, really taking care of business. He was in the store a lot, but that's because I had a lot of other things to take care of as well. And I kind of felt, honestly,
Were you
he needed
surprised
to
that?
work.
Were you surprised that this 21-year-old kid was drinking and surfing porn?
Very much, because at 21, I moved away to go to a religious school, and I had it together. And I was very surprised.
You can't go by you. You have to go by what boys do.
Well,
because
I don't
he's
know.
not you. He's a 21-year-old young man, and if you go on any college campus, there's liquor and porn.
Well, it doesn't mean that it needs to be in my store. And I was 21, and I dated at 21.
I'm not saying that it needs to be in your store. It was inappropriate in your store. I'm trying to tell you that this is a function of your failure to make an intelligent decision to begin with as to whom you should marry. See what I'm saying?
I do understand that. I just feel like when marriage, sometimes it is, some people do plan it, and other people, they go off with their emotions, how they feel, what they are
And
hoping
all of
for.
those people end up in here.
Not necessarily.
Yes,
A few
they do.
people before I got married told me that, you know, their marriage worked out. They married very quickly. Some people said, you know what, you're crazy. Some people were like, you know what, sometimes it's better to do it this way. I just kind of wanted to live and learn.
Stop. Does she talk this much at home?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you get sick of it?
I do, yes.
What is your main complaint about the relationship as it stands? Because you're looking to get out.
Yes, I would say my main complaint is she doesn't respect me. She's abusive.
In what manner?
You know, verbally to me, she doesn't treat me with respect. I feel like, you know, she's using me in a way for her own gain as opposed to our gain. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like, you know, it's not a marriage. It's not a marriage.
Okay. You say that he's a mama's boy, and you find his mother's interference in your marriage to be one of the primary reasons it has failed.
That amongst he's also a thief and a cheater. But from the mama's boy situation, I'm not really used to being hovered, not even by my own mother. And I'm not. You know, I've been 21. I've dealt with 21. You know, I've been there. But she is way too controlling in terms of, he did make the decision to marry, and so she needs to respect that. Instead, she calls him, oh my gosh, like 20 times a day. She cashes his check. She calls me for every little thing. She doesn't know where he is. She's calling me. It's just too much for me. I have my own life. I understand they have a relationship. I have a father. You know, it's just, there needs to be some boundaries. There is no boundaries. She does whatever she wants. And it's just too much for me.
Are you a mama's boy, Mr. Roberti?
I am a mama's boy. You know, I'm my mom's last child. You know, I'm her baby in a way. The reason my mother's is like that because she knows the way that she treats me. She knows the situation. You know, like I could say, you know, she's very abusive verbally. You know, I'm not allowed to go out with my friends. You know, if I go out with my friends, it's a big deal for her. You know, one time, you know, I don't get off work till about 10 p.m. at night, okay? So once I get off work, you know, me and a couple friends decided to go out and have some drinks downtown. I come home about 2:30, 3 o'clock, lay down on my bed, close my eyes like this. I'm laying down next to her. She's next to me. She turns over to me like this. I threw your clothes away.
Why did you throw his clothes away?
Well, as far as trust, I mean, it's something that I've always told him from the start. It's earned. Over time, initially, Daniel broke my trust so many times. Initially, first of all, we were just literally married. He asked me for a threesome. He asked me with a friend, and for me, I felt like it was a bit traumatizing for me. So I was like, this guy is crazy. I told him, you know what, it's not really appropriate right now. I don't know if he's there. He's very young. I'm not even sure where he's going with that.
I got you.
But there's also
I'm going to redirect this train.
When divorce court continues, did Daniel really send money to a mystery woman he only met on the internet?
Do you think Kerry-Anne and Daniel should have dated longer than 2 months before they married? Call 1-800-282-1991 to vote now and see if America agrees with your opinion. You'll also receive some valuable offers. Call now.
If you would like your case heard on Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com and join the conversation on Twitter at Divorce Court. Divorce Court continues.
Ms. Roberta, you called him a thief. That's a very serious accusation. Why don't you tell me why you believe he is, in fact,
Well,
a
I know
thief?
he's a thief. It's not about a belief. My sister was kind enough to invite us to her home one year for Christmas. And after we left, everything seemed normal. On the way we actually drove, so we were driving back to Florida. Daniel tells me he found a very nice piece of jewelry. And I'm like, wow, because we actually needed money. I was like, how lucky are you? And he's like, oh, I found it by Bryant Park. People were looking around like they lost something. So I'm like, really nice. I was like, are you sure it's real? So I was like, let me take a look at it. It was pearls. I know nothing about pearls. We stopped by a jewelry store to get it appraised. They said it was real, and it was very pricey. And so we're going to go down a little bit further to Miami because we had done the appraisal somewhere else. Something told me on the way into the other jewelry store that something didn't seem right. I was like, you know what? My sister's boss, she had mentioned something that she likes pearls. I was like, I'm going to call her and ask her if maybe her boss is interested in this. He's like, oh, no. So I'm like, why can't I call her?
Mr. Roberti, you know, you have the Fifth Amendment right not to say nothing. You don't have to incriminate yourself. It could be a felony. You never know. Would you prefer not to say anything about it?
Well, I don't know what she's talking about. That didn't happen. But back to my story, I didn't get to finish. When she threw away all my property, okay, I actually had to go downstairs to retrieve it into the dumpster.
Did she tell you why?
She told me why. She told me because I stayed out too late.
No, I told him because I'm tired of him disrespecting the fact that I asked him to come home before 5 a.m. in the morning. This was more like the 5th time, and I said I called him literally. He told me he was helping somebody choking in a bar, and he couldn't walk drunk. And I was like, you are disrespecting me. I've caught you cheating in New York because you met a girl in the subway, and you told her you were alone in New York and rich, and you met another girl in a department store in New York who actually forwarded me the messages. He invited her out on a date and everything. And then, last but not least, you were caught on a dating website sending a girl $600. So you broke my trust. Western Union and a woman you don't even know, catfish basically, not even know if this is a woman. $600 went, I didn't even have a car. I was getting up at 6 a.m. to go to work by train. And I was looking at the train schedule on his phone. That's how I found the dating website. So your clothes rightfully went out in the garbage because you would not listen.
No, that incident, that's...
Did you send $600 to some woman over the internet?
I helped out a friend.
Did you know this person?
I've been talking to her for a while.
You just knew her.
Yeah, I know her
Listen,
from online.
You know what, Mr. Roberti, I got to say something to you. You got to know people a little more before you get involved with them. You didn't know her at all. You didn't know who she was. You didn't know what she was about. You thought you were getting some young thing. You were smart. You were going to, talk him into something. You bamboozled him, and you find out he's a thief, and he's that's your fault. That's your bad.
Well,
it is.
I'm sorry. I don't agree with you. I'm married for love, and I will stick with that.
Judge Lynn Toller's ruling next. Divorce Court. Judge Lynn Toller's ruling right now.
I need to be put out of my misery here. What do you want from him?
Honestly, I feel like he owes me money because when I started my business, I basically had put all my money aside. I had to jump into my business money, borrow from the business to pay all of our expenses, which basically he still owes me on. He did eventually get a student loan to pay some of it.
Mrs. Roberti, this boy doesn't owe you a thing. What you did was you went out and got him, you plucked him out, you decided you were gonna, with magical thinking, turning him into something that you wanted. He wasn't what you wanted. He turned out to be a guy that you didn't know at all, and you didn't know him because you never met him. Oh, be quiet. Hush, hush, hush. He didn't take any money from you. He didn't do anything. You had your own business, your own money. He was just a pawn in your game. You lost your game. It's all your fault. There will be no recovering this matter, and I am out.
Kerry-Anne and Daniel respect the judge's ruling and have moved on. Post a comment or submit your case at divorcecourt.com or call toll-free 1-877-311-2222. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Divorce Court.